I just got this.
It looks like a car space.
Sir. No, she is not.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in a few moments. Please take your seats and silence all electronic devices. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this year's University of Scranton commissioning ceremony for the class of 2024. I'm Captain Joshua Moore, your Master of Ceremonies. Please feel free to move throughout the auditorium during the ceremony to take photos. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends and family, on behalf of the Royal Warrior Battalion Army ROTC program and the University of Scranton, welcome to today's very special event as we commission 7 young Americans into the United States Army. At this time, we ask that you please stand as we present the commissioning class of 2024. Today's official party is comprised of Brigadier General Michael Layler, the Royal Warrior Battalion Army ROTC Professor of Military Science Lieutenant Colonel Jason Wenger, Father Daniel Sweeney, and the Royal Warrior Battalion Army ROTC Senior Military Science Instructor Sergeant First Class Patrick McGrail. Please remain standing for the national anthem and invocation. At this time, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Father Sweeney, who will deliver today's invocation.
Good afternoon. My friends, please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we lift up in prayer the young men and women who are soon to be sworn in as lieutenants in the United States Army. Lord, grant unto them your wisdom as they assume their responsibility of leading the soldiers placed under their direction. I'd like to now adapt a line from St. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, who was an officer in the Spanish army until a French cannonball broke his leg, and that began a career change to founding the Jesuits. But he said, this is a prayer for young Jesuits, but he said, may God, who inspired in you the desire to serve others, now grant you his grace and his help in fulfilling this mission and for the new commitments you are about to undertake. May the good example of all the Army personnel you know be a guide for you. And lieutenants, please look after each other as well as your troops and help each other to be your best selves. Lord, we ask you to bless our country, our new lieutenants, all of our graduates this weekend and their families. Keep our deployed personnel and their families safe, and grant peace to our very troubled world. The Lord be with you. May the blessing of Almighty God, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit descend upon you and remain with you forever.
Thank you, Father Sweeney. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, please enjoy the following video prepared by our cadets.
You've been with me all along, always on my side. You've never gone. You've been with me all along, and you've been holding on for so long. When others would be gone, you stayed with me all along. You've been with me when I laugh or cry. Anywhere I stood, you standing by. With me when I'm fine, with me when I'm not. With me when I'm giving everything I got. With me all along, not a cameo. Every scene, every episode, in every video. Skip no scenario, there anywhere we go. You've been with me all along, always on my side. You never gone. You've been with me all along. You've been holding with me all along. You're still with me and I hope you stay. We've come a long way since the early days. Always had a spot in the escapades, and a suitcase for the getaways. And all along you were always down. Showed up and would hang around, singing loud, standing out in every crowd. And we're still here now. You've been with me all along, always on my side. You've never gone. You've been with me all along. And you've been holding on for so long. Where others would be gone, you stayed with me all along. They're not all like you, no. Some blow away in a fire with a gust, disappear in a cloud of dust. Leave you in the rain to rust, drain your trust. Say you're pretty good, but not good enough. The ones you thought you knew well, but I guess not well enough. That's not you, that's not you. You never put me in the rear view. I wouldn't be the same without you. So I thank you, I thank you. You never put me in the rear view. And I wouldn't be the same without you. You've been with me all along, always on my side. You've never gone. You've been with me all along. And you've been holding on
I would now like to introduce our guest speaker, Brigadier General Michael Layler. Brigadier General Michael B. Layler was commissioned into the United States Army through the ROTC program at the University of Scranton, Scranton, Pennsylvania in May 1995. Entering military service from his hometown of Goshen, New York, Brigadier General Layler has served throughout the U.S. Army in a variety of troop leadership and staff assignments.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Honored to be back here in my alma mater and here at this great university. Thanks for having me, and congratulations to you all out there. So, good evening, Father Sweeney, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished leaders, alumni, and all who are both here and/or will watch this later, and to this great Royal Warrior Battalion Commissioning Class of 2024, a phenomenally talented class. So, thank you for inviting me to speak today. First off, when I do these, I always like to recognize all the military leaders, the instructors, and the cadre who supported the cadets throughout their entire program. So please give them a hand. I want to make sure I thank the University of Scranton for all it's done for me, but also for continuing to sustain this program, and very important as it produces leaders and enabling this critical training and education. So thank you to the university. To the surrounding towns, regions, cities that provide a sense of community for those away from home here in Northeast Pennsylvania. And last, but certainly not least, and honestly most importantly, to you families who have encouraged and bolstered these young adults on their path to service. All the parents and the family members, thank you for entrusting us with your most precious resource, your son and daughter. Thank you for instilling in them the values that have led them to serving in our Army, for raising young people who are willing and able to serve in our Army, and for yourselves being committed to something much larger than all of us here today, to service and to our nation. Our Army is focused on making sure that its people are first, but you're living it. And that's truly what we're about here, is making sure that we're ready to do what our nation asks us to do. And you're living it, and I personally thank you. So please give all of yourselves a round of applause here. In addition here, I know there's a lot of veterans in this room, and I won't make you all stand up because no one likes that when we do that, but I also want to make sure I recognize all of you for all your service, and there's probably countless hundreds of years of service in this room. So please give all the veterans in this room a round of applause. So more than 28 years ago, I stood where you are today. I remember feeling excited, proud, and frankly, a little uncertain of just how far my Army journey was going to take me. The truth is, when I was on training FTXs during breaks while the rest of my friends and classmates were traveling or in warm places, I was in the mud and the rain here in Northeast Pennsylvania. I'm sure that hasn't changed much as you have experienced. At all the exotic places, Fort Indiantown Gap, for me, the Dunmore Reservoir, for you, I guess, Music Mountain, from what I hear, Tobyhanna Army Depot for me at the time, and like I said, everything that the Wyoming Valley had to offer. I could have never imagined what I have experienced, the places I have gone, the missions I've been part of since, or most importantly, the people I've served with along the way. That part will be the same for you, so I'm so excited for you all. And, when I look at them, and I look at the future leaders of our military, because that's exactly what they are. They're well-trained, and they're well-equipped, and they're going to do phenomenal work in leading our Army and our nation forward. So I'm proud of you all. When I sat here on May 27th, 1995, I got commissioned just up the hill at Reddington Hall. That's where we did it at the time. We were only 4 years removed from Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and a resounding Allied triumph over Saddam Hussein and the Iraqi army. The world was still figuring out its post-Cold War footing, but even with an emerging crisis in the Balkans, the United States was the unchallenged global leader. Your journey will be different than mine. Today, we face a dynamic and ever-changing global security landscape that continues to challenge our nation. There is a global siege on democracy to include an increasingly contested information environment and an ever-changing distribution of global power that draws new lines and value propositions for many of our allies and our partners. We also face borderless threats, such as cyber attacks, violent extremism, and natural disasters, climate change, including wildfires and hurricanes. Some of this existed as I entered the Army, and some of this is more exacerbated now. And some threats are new as our environment has evolved. We will tackle these threats and more together. When we think of the enemy, we often think of it in a traditional military concept, but we've learned all too well this decade so far, they're invisible enemies too. As an example, you faced one during your time at school, a global pandemic. You all adapted, you overcame it, you continued to train, and here you are. And again, that's a credit to your university, and it's a credit to your cadre who's led you during your time here. From the cadre, I want to make sure I take a moment to specifically recognize Lieutenant Colonel Jay Wenger, your professor of military science, to Captain Moore, Captain Solis, and Sergeant First Class McGrail. I want to make sure I thank you all for all the great work and the sacrifice and the hours of sacrifice you made to make sure that these men and women are ready, and all those who are coming behind it and those who came before. You know, in addition to being instructor and administrative duties that come with that job, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes coordination for the cadets. You know, you ensure you all have all staff hats on. I can appreciate that. You ensure these cadets have the necessary equipment for labs and FTXs and summer training opportunities and coordinate and travel for all those opportunities. So for the entire crew, my hat's off to you. Thanks so much. To Sergeant First Class McGrail, you know, you were the NCO mentor for many of these senior cadets, and I thank you for it. And for Master Sergeant Ansley, who came before you. You know, as they struggle with the challenges of leading their peers in that college environment, a lot of times you're a go-to instructor and a voice of reason, and that helps them work through and learn from these challenges. That has not changed at this fine institution. Master Sergeant Mike Caudle was our mentor, and he did the same for us when we came through here. So thank you all for your leadership and your creativity, and please give them all a round of applause. And we are going to need that strength now more than ever as we move forward. And not like I talked about, not only do our enemies sometimes look different, that battlefield has evolved, our strategic environment has shifted, and we now all serve in an era of great power competition. And we're going to integrate next generation technology. It's going on right now. And interoperability in a multi-domain environment as we try to and look to and will achieve overmatch through speed and range, convergence, decisions are among the greatest sources of our military strength. We must collaborate with those allies and partners to develop concepts and capabilities. And that interoperability is important to ensure we can fight as one team. And when we win, and we will win, whenever we are called, that victory will not be the end. This is only the beginning of a new chapter in an infinite game of military competition, and I thank you for taking it on. I'm stationed these days in Detroit, Michigan. Tank Automotive and Armaments Command is where this trip from Scranton, Pennsylvania, about 15 other stops has taken me in the last 29 years. And what we do, quite simply, is if a soldier drives it, shoots it, or wears it, we provide it and we sustain it for its entire life. So we make the tanks, we make the artillery, we make sure you have the gear, we test all the gear, all that goes on in our command. And you know, we have depots, arsenals around our country, and then forward-positioned stocks and people around the world, 15,000 strong, making sure that you'll be successful out there, and you'll be super successful. I'll be out there with you. So that's what we do. We got a whole lot of great past leaders from Scranton who have sat where you sat. This proud battalion's got a wonderful history. I mean, there's baseball umpires in the Hall of Fame who are ROTC students at this great university. Nestor Shylock. You got Major General Michael Terry, who was commissioned here in 1979, had my job about 4 or 5 before me. Major General Kevin Leahy, who's the SOC Cent commander currently at Fort Liberty and in other places around the world. I think his son graduated here a year or 2 ago. He was 2 before me, class of '93. He was one of my idols. He was our S3. I became the S3 after. So I don't know who the S3 is now, but you're now my new idol. So it's good stuff. So you come from a long lineage of some awesome people who have served here. Even the civilian operations officer for our organization in Tank Automotive Command, Mr. Ed Burke, he's a retired graduate of the University of Scranton, class of 1989. So you're in good hands, and you're all going to move forward together. You might not get to train together too much, or that great video showed, but you will all walk together from here on forward, and we're proud of you. I got three pieces of advice, leader advice I'll share, and we'll be on our way. I think these work, and they're timeless in approach, and you'll remember them. And if you don't remember them, some of you out here will remember who's coming behind you, so it'll all be good. One, build your team. Your number one resource will always be our people. That includes our total force of active Guard, Reserve, component soldiers, families, Army civilians, retirees, and veteran soldiers for life. As leaders, we build teams. We must promote cohesive teams that are highly trained, disciplined, and fit, ready to fight and win. By creating these conditions, the Army sustains readiness, it modernizes, it fosters relationships, and it prevents harmful behaviors that destroy trust. Never forget, service is both an honor and a privilege that comes with the responsibility to do the right thing in words and deeds. Trust, which is slowly earned and quickly lost, is crucial to our success, and nothing you will do in your career will be a solo sport. That applies wider than those you directly lead. You must build and foster your network of peers and mentors. Your team is critical. It's important to have diversity of thought, experience, talent, and background on that team. The synergy of those elements is powerful beyond words. As I often say, if we're all thinking the same, then no one is thinking. And you need all sorts of different ways in thinking to be a good team. You are well trained, you are ready. Trust your instincts, and always remember, no matter how hard it gets, and if you don't know what to do next, just lead. Just lead, and it'll take you where you need to go. All right, so build your teams is one. Staying disciplined and ready is number two. Knowing the standards and live according to our Army Corps values, both on and off duty. There are no layups in this job. No matter what you do, no layups in this job or in life. And as it is basketball season right now, it's highly applicable. So details matter, and the details win. There is no other way. Show up when you say you will. Follow through. Work problems. Embrace problems, because there's always going to be another one to solve. You're going to have them every day. Communicate. Do the right thing, even when you think no one is looking. Stay fit physically and mentally. Wear your uniform with pride. Use your voice to build others. Use your energy to solve meaningful problems. Use your time to make a positive difference. Stay true to who you are. The values you learned here and the values that your parents inculcated in you, those will truly vaccinate you against the world and everything it will bring at you, far longer than anything we could ever provide you with. Last one, follow the golden rule. And this piece of advice crosses all religions and beliefs, is what I normally say, but right here, it fits here in a Jesuit institution here at the University of Scranton. It's simple. Treat others as you want to be treated. Take care of people. Be caring, cohesive, and consistent with our Army values. Most importantly, treat others with dignity and respect. So with that, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak to you today, to be a part of this momentous day for you and your families. Thank you for the service you are about to give our nation. Some of you will have long journeys. Others may be shorter. I don't think I ever thought I'd be doing this for 29 years when I sat in your seat. But me and my roommate are the only ones left from that class in 1995. 58 years of service from one room. And we're still pretty proud of it that we're still at it together. He's down in the 18th Airborne Corps at Fort Liberty. No matter what, make the most of your time. You are writing your own life story now. Make sure it is one worth telling. Stay connected, and where I ever can help you or be of counsel, do not hesitate to reach out. We're part of the same lineage from here on forward. I am honored to take the field with you. So, be all you can be. This we will defend, and go forth and set the world on fire.
Thank you, General Layler, for your inspirational remarks and for sharing your experiences with us. On behalf of the Royal Warrior Battalion Army ROTC program, Cadet Leanhart, a senior cadet at the University of Scranton, would like to present you with a small token of appreciation for your participation in today's ceremony. I would now like to introduce the Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Wenger.
See if one of these
Can you hear me? Okay. I don't like to be behind a podium. Sir, I've had 2 experiences now with TACOM. The first one, it was my first week in the 82nd. I had to fly to Detroit, and I had to give a speech on airborne operations. Wow. I had to give that speech directly after lunch following General McMaster, who's one of the best public speakers in the Army. Yeah. Sir, between your speech and those brownies, this is a very close second. Hey, I want to welcome everybody for being here. I can see we more than filled up the room. My wife's been to a number of these, and she said to say this one piece of advice: clap when you want to clap, laugh when you want to laugh, stand up, take pictures when you want to take pictures. This is a day they're going to remember for the rest of their lives, and we want to make sure that everybody is included in the ceremony. They tend to feel very proper, very stuffy, but this is your ceremony with your children or loved ones, so please come up here and take pictures when you want to take pictures. So the Army ROTC is designed to represent the entire U.S. Army. So there are 291 host schools, like University of Scranton, and then there are 911 crosstown schools, or extensions rather, like King's College for us, or East Stroudsburg University. And there are over 3,000 crosstown institutions, like Marywood for us, and those other schools. And the reason the Army works so hard to be at all of these schools across the nation is to make sure that the values from each of those schools are represented in our armed forces. And I think Scranton really shows it best, especially with this group here. The reason that we want a Jesuit-educated officer in the Army is because of the values that you guys are going to bring when you are forced to make tough decisions. And when I look at this group here, I see incredible diversity in experiences and in branches and in your futures. And before I recognize them, I want to recognize 2 soon-to-be second lieutenants who came out here to support their classmates, even though they haven't quite met all the qualifications yet, but they will this summer. So Cal Tan. And even though he's wearing a West Point shirt, Andrew Mulhare. And then in the rest of the class, I see Gary Guidance, who is branching artillery, and a replacement for Master Sergeant Ainsley in that realm. Aiden Zabo, a man after my own heart, who is branching infantry, my replacement in the infantry. We have Jay Capadia, an ordnance officer, and General Layler's a replacement, I guess, at some point in time. And then 3 nurses in Jenna Leanhart, Allie Palmer, and Joe Lynch, who are going to keep us in the fight as long as we can stay in the fight. And then the last one that's going to be out there fighting that invisible enemy 365 days a year, Ryan Lally, a cyber graduate, or a cyber officer. So let's give them a round of applause. So I look forward to the many things that you're going to do in this Army. This program has produced the Secretary of the Army. This program has produced multiple general officers, including General Terry, 2 current general officers in General Leahy and General Layler, which, if you went to University of Scranton and your last name begins with an L, you have a pretty good chance. And it's said that Catholic or private institutions provide a sense of service, and we tend to serve in the Army longer than most officers, as you can see in their dedication. And then also first-generation college students. Anybody here a first-generation college student? Okay, well, prove the metrics wrong and stay in longer. All right, guys. Without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and move into the oaths. And like I said, come up here, take pictures. If I need to filibuster and tell a story because we're still waiting on somebody, I can. I'm not getting any hand signals there. Okay.
At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Wenger will administer the federal oath of office to 5 of our cadets in the commissioning class of 2024.
Everyone forward, march. One time, march. Group, halt, left, face.
I state your name.
I, Gary Yanis.
Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States in the grade of second lieutenant, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance in the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God.
At this time, Major Retired Michael Lynch will administer the federal oath of office to Cadet Joseph Lynch.
You ready, cadet? Yes, sir. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Joseph Lynch,
Having been appointed an officer in the United States Army
having been appointed the officer of the United States Army
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I take this obligation freely
and I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and will well and faithfully discharge
and will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office which are about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
At this time, I will administer the federal oath of office to Cadet Ryan Lally.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ryan Lally,
Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
in the rank of second lieutenant,
in the rank of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I will support and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
On July 23, 1775, General Washington stated, "As the Continental Army has unfortunately no set uniforms, and consequently we are not being able to distinguish the commissioned officers from the privates, it is desired that some badge of distinction be immediately provided. For instance, that the field officers may have red or pink colored cockades in their hats, the captains yellow or buff, the alterns or lieutenants green, and the subalterns or second lieutenants a band of commissioned officer status." Our present system of officers' grade insignia began on 18 June 1780, when it was prescribed that major generals would wear 2 stars and brigadier generals 1 star on each epaulet. In 1832, the Colonel's Eagle was initiated, and in 1836, leaves were adopted for lieutenant colonels and majors, while captains received 2 bars, and 1 bar was prescribed for the first lieutenant. The second lieutenants again only received a blank officer's epaulet and no rank. Midway through the First World War, the olive drab uniform became standard issue, and the epaulet was removed, and the second lieutenant was left with no rank. On 12 May 1916, the Secretary of War authorized the second lieutenant's 1 gold bar as the official insignia of rank. Thus, our tradition has continued for over 100 years. Following the pinning of the gold bars, the lieutenants will receive their first salute. The tradition is that a newly appointed officer gives a silver dollar to the first enlisted person to salute them after they have received their commission. This started when newly commissioned colonial officers were appointed by vote or bought their commissions as officers without formal training and were assigned a senior enlisted soldier to train them, teach them the regiment's histories and traditions, and ensure that their equipment met appropriate standards. Grateful lieutenants often showed their heartfelt by informally compensating the enlisted man with a small sum of money. After the end of the American Revolution, second lieutenants received some formal leadership training, but the Army retained the advisor position. New officers then received a monthly base pay of $25, a $3 ration allowance, and $1 for an enlisted advisor of their choice. This advisor's pay was later discontinued in 1872. The responsibility for NCOs teaching the newly commissioned officers has continued. Authorized by Congress on April 2, 1792, the silver dollar traditionally is the only coin given in exchange for the first salute. The coin represents more than $1 in currency. It signifies a deep sense of gratitude for the knowledge, values, and ethics the chosen enlisted person has passed on to the officer. It is acknowledgement from one professional to another, saying, "Welcome to our service and to the profession of arms." Today, the officers have asked the people who have most influenced their lives to come forward and honor them by placing the insignia of rank on their uniform. Our first officer this evening is Gary Guinance. Gary has earned a Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering and will branch Field Artillery active duty. His father, Gary, and mother, Constance, will affix his second lieutenant bars. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Gary Guinance. Family friend, Sergeant Retired Dan Kaiser, will render Second Lieutenant Guinance his first salute. Our next officer is Aiden Sabo. Aiden has earned a Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering and will branch infantry active duty. His mother, Barbara, father, Wayne, and brother, Brendan, will affix his second lieutenant bars. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Aiden Sabo. His brother, Airman First Class Owen Sabo, will render Second Lieutenant Sabo his first salute. Our next officer is Jay Kapadia. Jay has earned a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice and will branch Ordnance Corps in the United States Army Reserve. His father, Hitendra, and mother, Alpa, will affix his second lieutenant bars. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Jay Kapadia. Sergeant First Class Patrick McGrail will render Second Lieutenant Kapadia his first salute. Jenna Leanhard. Jenna has earned a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and will branch Nursing Corps active duty. Her mother, Tanya, father, Eric, and brother, Colin, will affix her second lieutenant bars. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Jenna Leanhard. Sergeant First Class Patrick McGrail will render Second Lieutenant Leanhard her first salute. Our next officer is Allison Palmer. Allison has earned a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and will branch Nursing Corps active duty. Her father, David, mother, Lisa, sister, Marissa, and brother, Scott, will affix her second lieutenant bars. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Allison Palmer. Master Sergeant Retired Christopher Ansley will render Second Lieutenant Palmer her first salute. Our next officer is Joseph Lynch. Joseph has earned a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and will branch Nursing Corps active duty. His mother, Major Retired Michelle Lynch, father, Major Retired Michael Lynch, sister, Captain Catherine Hubbard, and brother-in-law, Captain John Hubbard, will affix his second lieutenant bars. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Joseph Lynch. Sergeant First Class Patrick McGrail will render Second Lieutenant Lynch his first salute. Our final officer this evening is Ryan Lally. Ryan has earned a Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity and will branch Cyber Corps active duty. His father, David, mother, Katrin, brothers First Lieutenant Jake Lally and Owen, sisters Emma and Bryn, and best friend Calvin Tan will affix his second lieutenant bars. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Second Lieutenant Ryan Lally. His uncle, Army Specialist Retired Carl Klein, will render Second Lieutenant Lally his first salute. For the playing of the Army song.
Time. March. Group. Halt. Left. Face.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the commissioning class of 2024. On behalf of the entire Royal Warrior Battalion Army ROTC family, we thank you for joining us this evening for this very special occasion in the lives of these young officers. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you, and please travel safely.
All out.